To all my loyal viewers and subscribers, thank you so much for the support. Stay until the end. I have a special trailer of my next video entitled Apollyon, the Mystery Revealed. If this is the first time you're hearing what I'm about to say, then what I'm about to say may come as a shock to you. We live in a society that promotes those who most effectively use deception to their advantage. We do not live in a society that values ideals such as honesty, integrity, modesty, humility, none of them. Not really. I mean, they say they do, but when it's all on the line and you're forced to choose, and you will be forced to choose between the pursuit of profits and the conservation of your morality and your integrity, what they really value is people who are willing to do whatever it takes to satisfy the will of someone above them. And that's the truth. That's a hard truth. We call it coloring outside of the lines or, operating in the gray. There is no gray. There is no gray. We wish there was a gray, some kind of quasi-connection between right and wrong, legal and illegal, moral and immoral. But the reality is that does not exist. What does exist is people who can find all the right reasons to do wrong things and try their very best to make it right, even though it's wrong. It's one of the saddest things in the world to watch a person stuck between church and state. We are taught at church to be one way, but we find that just outside the doors of that church, the state and the dominant society is looking for the exact opposite. And realizing that is what's known as disillusionment. So this begs the question, where is the moral standard in our society? Obviously, it's not in the law because the separation of church and state makes the state inherently amoral, as it cannot base its laws on morals derived from religion. So the church must be the moral standard, right? But based on the church's history, the church itself cannot be given a pass because the institutional body known as the Christian church has not been a great example of objective morality, historically speaking. The church in this country and in churches in countries around the world has largely patterned its morality based on legality. For example, chattel slavery in the United States. Chattel slavery is a horrific institution that enslaved generations of black people that were brought here against their will to this country to serve the white establishment while they made wealth off of our efforts. Well, James chapter 5, verse 1 through 6 condemns this. Psalm chapter 73 condemns this. In fact, the entire ministry of the Lord Yeshua was to liberate those who are oppressed and to preach the good news that the penalty of sin had been lifted and the curse of sin was removed. So nothing about the true message of the Lord Yeshua, upon which the church is supposed to stand, endorses slavery. Yet, slavery was not only endorsed by the state and the church, but it was supported by the church wholeheartedly. So the institution of the church has not had an objective position against immorality if it puts them at odds with the state itself. So the church is also in its own moral quagmire. So if the state is setting the moral standard for the church and society at large, and the church is simply following the lead of the state, who is setting the moral standard for the state? And the answer is simple: the people, the will of the people. This is what brings about political correctness, which becomes the moral standard in the absence of the true moral standard, which is absolute truth. And who is truth? Yeshua. They had to do away with absolute truth in order to have the cultural relativism that we have in this country and around the world. We are in trouble. The doctrine of political correctness is not based on the will of all people. We're talking about the will of the majority, because they would have us to believe that we live in a democracy. And so the will of the majority becomes the moral standard for the general society. But who's in control of the masses? Well, that's your billionaires, your celebrities, your millionaires, your political people. They are in control of the masses. They have their hands on the social levers that are influencing society. And who is influencing them? Now you're getting to the center of it. Those people are under direct influence of Satan, the god of this world. Satan. So now we have Satan in the pulpit. We have Satan steering the ship, not directly, but indirectly, by subtle means like 501c3 requirements and certain rules for the church to be kept in a tax-exempt status. And these churches abide by those rules, and in doing so, they are in line and following the leadership of the state, which the state is led by Satan. This is systemic immorality, and it's affecting every aspect of our lives. Take the deceitful market manipulators at Wall Street. They use the money in your bank account to bid on foreign currency, and they have no obligation legally to compensate you for the wealth they amassed using your money. What's worse, if the big banks get in trouble, the state will use your tax money to pay off their debt because they are too big to fail. That's what they told us in 2008. So let me get this straight. Their debt is ours. Our debt is ours. Their income is theirs. And our income is theirs. You see? Mad yet? See, those are our heroes. That's who we're told to be more like. That's who gets the promotion. That's who most often wins. That's who we go to college so we can get a job at JP Morgan or Goldman Sachs or these other, and it's not just Wall Street, but I'm using them as an example. Those are the heroes of our society. The execs, the vice presidents, senior analysts are all just people who figured out how to use deception without detection. This culture is often referred to as the elite or the 1%, and it's worldwide, which means this culture of immorality is the dominant culture worldwide. This reminds me of another global superpower from ancient history. Can't call the name right now, but it'll come back to me. But the members of this society are obsessed with using the law to, in effect, do illegal things without exposure to legal consequence. In other words, deception without detection. This is true in social circles, private business, government. The effective use of deception is praised all around. Taxes, for instance. Tax evasion, criminal. Tax avoidance, clever and legal. This culture of promoting corruptible behavior is the dominant culture. And for those of us who are more beholden to our faith-based sense of morality, we will find it harder and harder not to fit in, but to have a place at all in society that does not require us to violate our moral values in exchange for money. And this culture has a name, and that name is the occult. The occult is a society of people from every walk of life, from every part of the world, who follow the rituals and practices of worshiping fallen angels as gods. The gods they worship are referred to as the old gods. Since the fall of Rome, the culture of pagan worship was mortally wounded, but somehow survived its wounds. The society fell into secrecy, but the very real forces behind the idols they worship demands to be revealed. The society has a plan to bring the now subculture of the occult back as the dominant culture. They have been working at this for a very long time, and the final parts of their plan are being carried out on a global scale, and most have no clue. Revelation 18:23 gives us a clue as to the society's plans and God's response to their wickedness. It reads, "The light of the lamp will never shine in you again. The voice of the bridegroom and bride will never be heard in you again. Your merchants were the world's important people. By your magic spell, all the nations were led astray. This passage is referring to a global business hub where the elite do business, referred to in Scripture as Mystery Babylon. The earthly location for Mystery Babylon is New York. The last line of this verse is quite interesting. By your magic spell, the nations were led astray. This speaks to some kind of global deception that has to do with this international business hub. The word used for magic spell in the Greek is the word pharmakia. Pharmakia turns out to be the root word of the word pharmacy that we use today. The scripture is warning of a global deception pulled off by the global elite involving the pharmaceutical industry. With the success of their plan, this world will be returned to global pagan worship in an instant. The transnational elite are eagerly awaiting the appearance of their king who is going to usher in this new global religion. The Bible refers to him as the eighth king in the book of Revelation, chapter 17, verse 8 through 11. It says, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the eighth, and is of the seven, and goeth to perdition. This is also the false prophet. This is the beast that comes out of the earth in Revelation chapter 13, verses 13 through 15, where it says, I beheld a second beast coming up out of the earth, having two horns like a lamb, but spoke as a dragon. This is the angel of the bottomless pit, and his name is Apollyon. And this is the king that the Satan-worshiping global elite are waiting on to usher in the new age that's due to start any day now. This will interrupt the whole world. The Bible records in Revelation 13, verse 13, and he does great wonders. This is the beast that comes out of the pit, also known as the false prophet. He does great wonders so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceives them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had the power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. We are going to see the great falling away and a mass adoption of this global religion centered around this beast and his image. We are talking about the apostasia described in the book of Thessalonians, which precedes the day of the Lord. This secret society and their plan is ancient. In fact, it goes all the way back to Nimrod, aka Orion, at the Tower of Babel. Due to the intervention of God at the Tower of Babel, the ancient practice of worshiping fallen angels as gods struggled to reconstitute itself over geographical, language, and time barriers set in place by God. So the fallen angels gave the practitioners of the religion a means of communication that transcends those barriers, and that is the language of symbolism and signs. This allows the members of the occult a back channel to communicate with each other outside of the common language. Their symbol language is all around us, but because we don't know their symbols and the meaning behind them, they go unnoticed as art, trademarks, and harmless logos, assumed to have no deeper meaning, but they do. And this video that you're watching, the goal of this video is to expose those hidden meanings. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you got something out of this, if this really blessed you, please do like, comment, share. I would love to hear from you. I will engage with you in the comment section. And if you'd like to get a notification of my new content when it comes out on my channel, please do subscribe. Now, for my loyal viewers and subscribers, your preview of my next video, Apollyon, the Mystery Revealed, starts in 15 seconds.